I am flabbergasted at how many people actually responded to my video asking questions of what you want to know more about me. Like, this isn't something that I'm used to. I've done a couple of those in the past. I usually get like one or two people. I have a pages of questions. First question I got here is what is your favorite and non-favorite thing about the fandom? Well, I gotta say, my favorite stuff about the fandom is the creativity, the community, the people, everyone you get to know, making friends. It's absolutely amazing. And probably what I have to say is the worst thing about the fandom. It can close you off. I've gone through a few things. I've made friends, and I've also made some people very unfortunately not happy with me. And when you're first diving into this type of stuff and you've got a personality like mine, I tend to dive into things a little bit head on and just really dive into it. So for me, it's been a journey in that sense. And I got to say, the worst part of it all is when drama happens. I don't like it. Nobody likes it. I want to move on from things like that and hopefully not have to worry about it. That's probably the worst and the best thing about the fandom entirely too, because it creates a scenario where your emotions get really revved up a lot higher within the fandom. You see things that are absolutely gorgeous and fantastic, but then the lows hit you a little bit harder at the same time. So the highs and the lows, I wouldn't change it at all. I wouldn't have it any other way, but I pushed through and persevered, and where we are today is absolutely amazing. And this is now my favorite thing to do in the world. Just sitting here in front of a camera, being able to talk and be able to do so much more. What is your favorite hockey team? Wow. If you don't know, I'm from Edmonton, Alberta. I've lived here all my life. I am a giant Oilers fan. Let's go Oilers. I have my McDavid jersey. I have a jersey, a older jersey. I have an older away jersey and a home jersey, both with signatures on it from various players of the 80s. I grew up with the Dynasty team. It was absolutely fantastic. I remember going to games as a kid. Last year, I was able to go to Game 3 of the Stanley Cup Final. This is the first playoff game that I've ever gone to, and I went to the Game 3 of the Stanley Cup Final and absolutely had a blast. And if I ever do get a fursuit commissioned, I want to wear my head to a game. Favorite topic to discuss in the fandom? Honestly, the one thing I like to talk about is how everyone's come up with their persona, how they've discovered what makes their persona. I know there's people out there that they sit there and they pump out a lot of them, especially fursuit makers, where they sit there, they'll make a persona and then it goes. I like the actual my side where it honestly for me, I didn't really pick or create a persona. More so, the persona made me in this sense. I don't know if you fully understand that, but just everything I've gone through in life, to me, it felt like a lot more clarity and a lot more personal in that sense. Everyone's got a journey. They create their journey. They create the persona behind it, and it's absolutely been an amazing journey and figuring out and finding so many more things and so many more details out there. I love the creativity and everything that goes along with that. How is it being a furry dad? You know, seeing I'm not overly that long within the fandom, that long with the idea of it, it's been a journey in that sense. My little one is 8. We ended up getting him a Phoenix Squishmallow at Christmas as one of his gifts to open. And the first thing he did with it, he picked it up, pointed at it, and said, "Dad." So my little one sees me as something more. He doesn't. It's funny because I haven't really shown him much of what I do. We've had family, a lot of my, all the family knows that I do this. We've had them kind of bring up every once in a while. My little one will find one of my videos or something like that and bring it up, but know it's me, I think by the voice. And the second he does that, the smile on his face is absolutely amazing in that sense, because that's what I do a lot of this for. It's not just myself to do something more, but to bring a smile to someone's face, to make your day that much brighter, to do something more where it's just absolutely fantastic in that sense. It's amazing in that, for just knowing that I have a little one that looks up to me, even in something like this. But they're always watching, and it's pretty amazing in that sense. Just being able to do things like that. I can give him a couple stickers. He'll stick them on things. It's a lot of fun. Other than that, you're just a regular parent. You go through the ebbs and flows like a regular parent. Just happens to be that I've gone a little bit more creative route, and making story time just makes it that much fun, much more fun in that sense. How is it like living as a furry, and how do you do your persona? Well, in a lot of ways, if you think back to Dungeons and Dragons, if you've ever done any role playing, this is part of it. I've done role playing all my life. Role playing has been a huge deal. I've done Dungeons and Dragons. I am an ex-LARPer. I've done Vampire the Masquerade, Werewolf the Apocalypse, Mage the Ascension. I've done Sunfall, which is you go out in the middle of the woods for a weekend with a bunch of people, and you sit there and act out combat scenarios where you have dice, and there's so many more things. So if you've got a role-playing background, you're a step up on a lot of people right away. It's the same sort of idea. You have the idea in your head, right? You have the idea that you're going to do something more. Do something more. But in some cases, like myself, this has been something a lot more personal. There is a lot out there that will make it a lot more personal, like I have. I've gone through a lot of struggles in life. The way I see things now, I just try to idealize something that is something that is an ideal self. If I could live in a world excluded from the human side of things and live in the world where it's an animal, this is what I would be doing, is something like this. I would be something more mythical. I would be something more like a dragon, more like the phoenix that you do see. So that's where it is. Honestly, persona, how do you do it? It's one step at a time. If you dive deep into it, like I gotta say, I dove a little deep right away. I paid some prices in that sense, but I've learned a lot. It does take time. It does roll after a while. And once you get to that point, then you really feel like you've gotten something that is yours. It's very personal, something that no one will ever take away from you, and can never really be changed unless you are the one that controls that. What is your favorite game to play, or favorite VR game to play? Well, I haven't gotten to dive in too much VR. Honestly, I've been limited by time. I generally work a full-time job. For those that don't know, I recently got let go on my contract, so now I'm in between jobs a little bit, so I'm hoping I can do a lot more live streaming and a lot more, maybe actually go through some other VR games that I do have. Recently, obviously, I've only really dove into VR chat, and I've dove into Beat Saber. I do not see VR chat as a video game at this point. I see it as a way of more of a forum, more of a place to meet people, more of a place to socialize, and more of a place just to enjoy the games within VR chat. So it's hard to call VR chat really a game at that point. So the only other one that I've really done is Beat Saber, and I am absolutely having a fantastic time with Beat Saber. I really do love it, and the amount of modding you can do with Beat Saber makes it very, very versatile in that point. Beat Saber on its own, it's okay. The first little bit that I dove into it kind of disappointed me. But once we got into the modding aspect of Beat Saber, it opens the door up so much more. You can do so many more things with it, and it creates a game that you just want to sit there and play constantly. But when it comes to VR games, I do have Help Wanted 1 and 2, which I do want to go through. Apparently there's an escape room that I need to try. Save that for a future video. And then there's some zombie stuff. There's a whole plethora of VR games out there. And I believe we're in the age of VR where things are going to start to snowball a little bit more. So there's going to be more games to try. I do want to try the Batman game that did come out recently as well. What is your favorite animal, otherworldly creature? Well, obviously a phoenix is going to be my favorite. Next up would be dragons. Honestly, it sounds boring, but it's not. They're all fantasy based. When you have fantasy on the mind, and when you do things like that, where it's constantly with fantasy, you just want to do so much more with it, and it makes it so much greater at that point. So why a phoenix griffin and not an Avail raptor or a A10 warthog? In all of the struggles that I have dealt with in life, I have survived. I have pushed forward. I have persevered. And throughout my whole time, my junior high and my elementary school, the phoenix was the symbol. It was a symbol of hope. It was a symbol that rose from the ashes because our school was burnt down back in 1912. And it was risen by the ashes of itself. And thus it was something that created the phoenix in that schooling. So I grew up with it as a symbol of hope and a symbol of renewal and a symbol more of that. And because of everything I have been through, I have been to the very bottom, and I grew back up, and then I get knocked back down, and I kept going. I kept opening those doors, and I said, no, I am not giving up, and I am continuing to do that. And throughout that whole time, I always looked at the phoenix as something greater and something more. Using that as a means to do something more. So by that essence, naturally, that's why I chose the phoenix. I guess the other part of that is why a griffin? It felt better. I went through plenty of different versions of avian style birds for what I saw for bases, and the griffin model at the same time from Raza really did give me that option. And I gotta say, there is fully customizability with this. It's a model I've learned very well, and Raza is absolutely amazing at what he does. How do you deal or put yourself in a mindset in different shelves while using internet overall? Well, that's an interesting question. In all honesty, since I've dove into this, I have turned around and put the news cycle aside, and I've pushed away a lot of the stuff in the world of the internet that just kind of clouds your mind and creates a negative space. And I've said, I don't want to do that anymore. I don't want this negative effect on my life anymore. So when it comes to the internet, I keep that stuff at an arm's length. I still follow some of the news. I do see it, I follow it, but I don't dive into it like I used to. I don't go deep into it knowing that there is skeletons in those closets that I'm going to uncover, and I just don't want to have to do that anymore. I want to do something that was for myself. So when I dive into the internet now, I'm looking up just other things. I'm having more fun. I'm chatting with friends. I'm watching movies again. I haven't watched like shows or anything, and I'm relaxing. And I just take what's fun out of it and play with that. And just try to ignore a lot of the political stuff that's going on. Try to ignore the crap that's going on and continue to live within the system at that point. Questions. Are you going to be doing a series on fursuit creation? Well, if I get to that point, I first have to figure out the design, and I am kind of at a loss. Yes, I have dove in, I have seen a lot of things with this. I have tried to do a lot of things, and I kind of become at an impasse. I have ideas, but I don't know where to go with it. If I do a series on that, am I getting a 3D printer? Right now, no. 3D printer, I believe, is a cost that I won't be able to afford if I go that route. I don't think it would actually benefit me in that sense. I may get a piece 3D printed as like a base bone skeleton, but that's about it. Will I be doing any Nintendo Switch 2 content? Now, the Nintendo 2 Switch, there has been such controversy around that. I don't feel the Nintendo 2 is going, or the Nintendo Switch 2 is going to be this crazy, amazing thing that's coming out onto the market. They're calling it a Switch 2, meaning it's going to be an upgraded version of the Switch. And it's like your Nintendo 64 where you have the expansion pack. That's all it's going to do. It's not going to do anything crazy. They're already rumoring it's going to have like PS4 style graphics to it. It's not going to be a game changer when it comes to a console. Will I cover any of the content with it? Well, if a game comes out that I really want and enjoy, yes. If not, probably not. I more follow the game side of things than the console side of things. What additionally do you need to make the channel better? Well, funny that is asked there. I currently just upgraded my Amazon wishlist store. There's a few things that apparently I need, and considering I'm not working right now, I need a new mic. I want to get a mic, an XLR mic, which will have a soundboard. So obviously I need the audio board to go with that. My office chair, once again, apparently I'm hard on these things. It is starting to crack. I'm waiting for the day that I actually do fall out of it just from shifting in it, because I can starting to feel that it's trying to lean over to one side. I'm also looking for something that's going to be a lot more comfy to sit on for this type of content, for the VRC content where I'm in the avatar doing a lot of things where I could just sit down and relax. I'm looking for something like that. Would it make things better? I don't know, but I think it would be a lot more comfier than me always standing on an anti-fatigue rug. What else? There's a few other things on there, but those are the top of my list right now. Just to make things better. I guess the other thing is going to be within, I think, a year. I'm going to be looking at probably trying to build a new PC again, just because of the new 5000 series video cards coming out. Obviously, I don't jump into these things very, very fast when it comes to video cards, because I know what happens. They come out, then you have power fluctuation issues. They've got to work out all the bugs, so it's not something that you dive into right away. For those that do, I have fun, but I try to wait it out a little bit myself. Oh, and I guess the last thing that I do need, because I do want to do a little more of the VTube side of things, I want a hand track, because it does give so much more expressions. That's another cost that's out there right now. Obviously, these are all things that I will eventually get myself, but it's just going to take time for me to do that, because I got to go back to work. Once I go back to work, then I make more money, right? Content creation for me is more of a hobby. I don't make a ton of money off of it, although the Twitch stuff lately is absolutely fantastic. I am blown away by Twitch right now. I avoided Twitch for so long, and I am very, very happy I've dove back into it. Everyone that's supporting me over there, absolutely thank you. I cannot say this enough. It's absolutely mind-boggling right now, and I have to say very, very, very thank you. Right now, that's the last month has paid for my internet and my power, so that's absolutely fantastic, and thank you so very, very much. How much would a woodchuck chuck if a fur chuck could chuck wood? Really? Really? Well, it depends on the wood, but it would take about 3 fursuits, a collar, a few rubber bands, and a roll of duct tape. How do you deal with haters in VR chat in real life? First off, in VR chat, there's a block feature. Secondly, I don't generally go in very often to public lobbies anymore. I don't see a lot of the hate on VR chat. In real life, how do I deal with it? I get a few of the comments on YouTube. I delete the comment or I block them, and they get yeeted out of my area. Then I move on. How many people of real life know I'm a furry? Friends, family, furries. There's a lot. Most people in real life that know me know that I'm into this and know that I'm doing content creation. They look at it as a positive outlook and they don't mind. Every single one, almost every single person that I've spoken to when I decided to jump into this fandom has turned around and went, "Hey, I'm glad you're doing something. It looks like you're having a lot of fun with it. Continue doing it and roll with it." Nobody's really giving me a lot of grief over it. I guess I should add on to that. People knew I was a furry before I was a furry. Other people knew that I was a furry before I became a furry. So that's a little bit telling right there, right? You know, when you sit there and you talk to a couple people and say, "Hey, listen, I'm a furry," and they sit there and they look at you and go, "Yeah, I already knew," and you sit there and you go, "What?" I didn't know, and yet they were. They were saying, "Yeah, we suspected it, that you would either fall into this or that you already were doing stuff like that." And I was like, "Thanks." How much is it okay to lie? Well, that's a loaded question. First off, if you want me to sit there and tell you that I'm going to lie, in general, I don't tell. I try not to sugarcoat the truth. I try to tell people the truth and try to say things. Is it a lie for me to stand here in front of an avatar instead of my own body, instead of my own person? No, this is just an extension of myself. I don't see it like that. I see a lot of this just as a amazing opportunity to do something in a space with something that's freaking unique and cool and do something that's something more. Why in the world would I worry about things like that? Unless people really push me for information, I try not to say anything that's going to be harmful. I try not to say anything that's going to be that's going to push people away. I try to be my authentic self and I try not to lie, or I try to tell the truth in most matters. If you have $8 million to spend in 4 hours, how would you spend the money? Tell you, I would probably just turn around and look at a condo building or an apartment building, buy it, and then have a residual income afterwards. If I have some money left over, buy a couple fancy cars and move on. Pepsi or Coke? Coke. How does your wife feel about me being part of the furry fandom? She's in the process of making her own persona. That's where we're at right now. We're very creative people. My wife actually runs a YouTube channel herself called Dragons Jewels Creative Gems. She does a lot of diamond painting art. She does a lot of very, very good creative things in that sense. So if you go check her out over there as well, you might see a little bit more why things are. We have an absolute blast. I've explored a lot of the fandom at this point. She's dabbling in it a little bit. We're not sure how far it's going to go, but for me, it's been a very fun time. She thinks it's a good outlook for me, thinks it creates a social environment for myself, and it gives me something more to do in my life that is a positive impact on myself and us together as a family. What is my favorite film, TV show to watch? Wow. My favorite movie is Dragonheart. It always has been. It's kind of funny because back a couple years ago we were doing a live stream and it came up and I had everyone look at me and go, "Why in the world is Dragonheart your favorite movie? That movie's absolutely horrible." And I'm like, "Well, you have a talking dragon, for Christ's sakes. Sean Connery as a dragon? Like, why not? You have the medieval side of things where you have the Knight's Code." It was something that I absolutely love. And by the way, for those that don't know, me and my wife, we had a medieval wedding. This is not weird to me at all. I know a lot of people sit there and they go, "Oh, you're a furry. It's weird. It's strange." It's not to me. It's absolutely the best way at this point I can be a gamer and the best way I can express myself. And that's why I'm doing part of it. So when it comes to TVs and movies, Dragonheart's my favorite. I grew up on the raccoons. I absolutely love anything to do with it. I love the '90s X-Men show that used to be out there. And lo and behold, who was my favorite character in the '90s X-Men? If you haven't guessed by now, it was Jean Grey with the Phoenix Force. How many siblings do you have? I have a half brother. He's born 11 years younger than me. Um, and we'll leave it at that. What was the first time you heard about the LGBTQ many letter plus community? I used to go to the emo club here in town. Me and the wife, we used to shop in some of the shops for club wear. We've always known a lot of people that are gay, known people throughout our lives, and never had a problem with anyone about it. When was the first time I've heard of the community? Honestly, we we used to go to clubs. It wasn't anything new to us, and it never has been. So when was the first time? Probably when I was 20 at this point. Or you know what, it's even before that, when I was in high school. But in high school I was dealing with my own crap, living on the streets. It's not like I had time to actually sit there and go party or do anything like that or go to the club. It wasn't until like we were going to the emo club here in town, we were shopping in those stores to find a few more things for club wear. It wasn't, it's never been anything more than that. How long have we been married? We've been married for almost 19 years at this point. This May will be our 19th year wedding anniversary. Our 20th, we're actually already planning. We are looking at a trip to Scotland. We're hoping that we can pull that off. Obviously, that just takes a lot of saving and a lot of money in that sense, and not working all the time, because I am the only one that works in the home due to our special needs that we have. So it does take a little bit to get to that point. Like I said, we've been married for 19 years. 19 years. Absolutely crazy. We've been together since before that. So it's been a very, very long road, and absolutely fantastic one. When you first got into the fandom, how did you make and meet new furry friends? This is actually kind of weird. So I've been making content for about 8 years. I've been on YouTube for 8 years. Since my son was born, I dove into YouTube and I did live streaming there. And I did a lot of that using the Phoenix motif as something within my channel. Now, I didn't realize until I fell into the fandom that I had a bunch of people hell, my main mod at the time is a brony. And I didn't care. Like, I didn't even care. I was like, okay, cool, you're a brony. Yeah, you like My Little Pony stuff. That's cool. But for me, I didn't actually realize what I was doing in the first place when it came to the furry fandom. I have a lot of friends that I've met online that are also within the fandom, and when I went through the looking glass, they were the first ones that lined up and said, okay, now that you've arrived, this is how things actually work. And we kind of knew what was going on here. So here's a few of the basic guidelines. Here's a few of the things that you need to kind of realize what's going on. And if you want any more help, we're here to help. And of course, they've reached out so much, we've become good friends. And so it's just kind of snowballed from there. Now, when you go into VR chat, that is a completely different world and realm of things. The first times that I was in VR chat, I didn't know what to do. I started making a little bit of content with it. Then we got the headset, and then, we can do so many more things now, thanks to the viewers of this channel, and thanks to the community that has been built around here. Absolutely. I'm flabbergasted that everyone loves to see me on camera. I am absolutely beside myself in a lot of ways when it comes to the community and the amount of people that have shown so much support. It really has helped me out immensely with my mental health, with just being able to be creative, being able to do things where I can sit there and I can just have fun. Yes, I have the fire turned off because it just creates a situation. Of course, I've got the spark still going, but it's absolutely fantastic for me. I'm losing weight because of Beat Saber. I'm doing so many more things. I'm creating a healthy atmosphere for myself. But when it came to VR chat, I stood in the background for the first little while, I stood back and I didn't know what to do. I didn't know who to talk to. Then it just kind of snowballed from there. I joined a couple communities. I learned more things. I played games. I did more fantastic things with a lot of the people that I have met. And I do wish things worked out a little bit differently in that sense, because I don't hold any issues with anybody. I know there are things that people got upset with me over, and that's part of the process. You're going to make friends. You're going to make people that are mad at you in the long run because you just don't jive or you don't vibe together, and that's fine. Once you find people that you vibe with, then you get to have a lot more fun and you get to learn a lot more things, and you just get to dive down that rabbit hole, and then you never want to go back. What are my thoughts on cheese? Well, first off, if you are having cheese right now while watching this video, you're due for the cheese tax, and you must segregate and send me a block of cheese and make sure I get enough cheese, because I'm sorry, but that's the rules. I didn't make up the rules. That's plain and simple. That's the rules. The cheese tax must be paid if you are watching this video. Have you found that your views on anything has changed since spending time around furries? Not your views on the fandom, but your views are a big important to, like society, politics, friendship, or life. My views have not changed on many things. I still hold my views and my values to where they are. I am still a family man. I am still married to my wife. I am still very much in that sense. It's politically, I live in Canada. Our politics up here are completely skewed right now. I don't even know what to think anymore politically. I honestly, when it comes down to political side of things, I think the government has I think it has its justifications, and I think it has its place for society to work the way it is. But what are my political views? My political views are in the middle. It's never been one side or the other. And what has changed on my political views? Nothing. I still hold them to immense value today. I still, things, if you've looked back through the catalog of my channel, you may ask yourself, where do my views lie? And in some cases, there's things that I've said in the background that I've just said it because it's part of the lingo. But I never really liked a lot of what was going on. There's a lot of things that you can say, yeah, I don't like this, I like that, I don't like this, I like that. I have lived in the system for so long. I have reached out to the system for assistance. I've reached out for government entities to try and give me a hand. And I believe there is a point where government does value the people out there in life and does something more. Who's in power, making the rules, those political things, I try not to subjugate myself with, because they change, they ebb and flow, they go up and down, and it depends on what it is at the time of the motion. In a lot of ways, I may just side with a lot of the voters. The last little while, I haven't really wanted to fill out a ballot. That's where I sit right now politically. The last many years, I've wanted to go in and literally just scratch every name out and walk away from it all, because I don't believe that there has been a clear choice of what you can do in these circumstances, because the system hasn't been valued to where it needs to be right now. There's a lot of things going on. When it comes to social content, yes, there has been a lot of new laws that they're trying to bring up here in Canada, trying to push down on creators, and those laws they push down a lot of the creativity and the ideas that you want to have out in the world. So it's been a very tough go. There's things I like and there's things I don't like on both sides of the coin. So politically, they have not changed. They never have and they never will, because I see things very differently than a lot of people. I gotta say, socially, things have been fantastic. And have my views changed? No, I'm a gamer. I've always been a gamer. My views haven't changed in that sense. I now have a social life, where before I sat at home playing video games by myself. What more do you want? Or more so, me and the wife would play video games. Now I have a social life and I can do things and she can do her own thing and create and stuff and actually have time to do her crafty things that she wants to do and not have to worry about trying to entertain this. Yes, this was an Ask Me Anything. There's a lot of things, and you know, there could be very loaded questions in that sense. There could be things that people don't like, and that's what you're entitled to. That's something that I've always said throughout the whole time I've been in social media. I've always said, if you don't like the content, you don't have to stick around. That's the difference in social media. You go, you click a button, and you sit there and go, yay, I found something I like. Or I hate this guy, I need to move on. That's where I have no ill will against anybody. Everybody is welcomed here. If you want to speak your mind, try and speak your mind, but obviously do it in a very mindful way and try to actually speak to it, and instead of always saying and trying to put down people. I don't like that. I never have. I've seen it throughout the whole time. And I've had very, very many comments held by YouTube over the years, and a lot of it I just ignore at this point. It has been very humbling, me falling into all of this, doing things as a phoenix. It's absolutely fantastic. And I really do enjoy just having fun, because that's what it's all about. That's what this is all about, is having a hobby that I can have fun with and do so many more things in life. Anyway, at this point I've rambled on long enough. This has been a very, very long AMA. I'm surprised at how many. If you still have questions, feel free to ask them down below, because I wouldn't mind answering more. Anyway, have yourselves a great day. I am your proud Canadian Phoenix, Cindershadow. I'm signing off here, and I will see you again very soon. Don't forget to like and subscribe.